Hey guys, SD Gaming here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to smooth movement in GameMaker Studios 1.4 and 2.0. It works in both of them. It's just one little simple trick that will, of course, make your player go a little bit smoother whenever you're moving it. So the reason why this is happening, as you can see, it's a little bit juddy whenever you start and stop. It's because I am, in fact, giving it a floating point variable to be added to an X and Y. And the X and Y are actually integer variables, so you want to keep it on an integer whenever you're doing that, or else you'll get this kind of choppy movement where it goes back and forth trying to decipher where it's supposed to be with this floating point number. So an easy fix for this is to, instead of giving it a floating point number, of course, just to give it an integer, which we can do by either flooring or sealing the value. So as you can see right here, I have my velocity x and velocity y that I'm adding to the player. And right now, both of these are floating point values because it's, in fact, there's a bunch of factors going into it, like friction and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create I'll just redo it, a new variable called xreal. You can name it whatever you want. This is just where we're going to be storing the x, and yreal, and this is going to be the y. So what these are actually just going to be the floating point numbers for the game. And so the reason we're creating these numbers is so we can actually store the player's velocity in an x and y for a floating point. These are not actually going to be the x and y values. These are going to be they're going to be either floored or sealing to become the x and y display values. So if we were to just come over here and say, you're like, oh, well, why don't we just take the y, the x, and then we set it to the ceiling of itself? Which, I mean, you could do that. I mean, it seems like it would work, because you're creating an integer value and get less choppy screen movements, but whenever we compile it, it's actually not going to it's going to give us a less choppy movement. We're not going to have that choppiness, but it's also going to keep on, it's going to keep on taking the lowest point or the highest point and adding onto it, since we're adding the velocity. So automatically, it shouldn't be doing this, but I'm pressing it and then it goes once it gets over that hump of the first, once it gets over to the hump of the first actual integer that's not 0, it'll start moving. So we actually don't want that. So instead we're just gonna take this and we're gonna do this xreal, which is the variable we created over here, yreal, and then we're gonna set this equal to xreal and yreal. So what this is doing is we're adding the velocity to the x and the y. So now we're keeping this a floating point, and it's going to keep on adding on because it's not getting this is only getting modified by the player's velocity. So it's going to be the real place that the player is, but then we're going to translate that to the nearest x and y coordinate, so it will snap to an actual pixel instead of being in between pixels and having that kind of choppiness that it gives us. So then we say ceiling or floor, it really doesn't matter. It's kind of the way you program it. I'd test both of them, whichever one you like more, keep. But for this project I'm using, I'd rather prefer it to round up. So we're taking this and then we're setting x equal to the ceiling of xreal. So now whenever we play and we actually move back and forth, it's going to translate the floating point to an integer and place it exactly at a point. That way, well, I don't know why that happened, but so now you can see the movement is a lot less choppy on start and stop because it's actually giving it an integer instead of a floating point. So that's just a quick and easy fix for GameMaker Studios, letting your objects be a little bit less choppy on screen display. If you like this video, please comment, rate, subscribe for more. If you have any other questions on GameMaker Studios, place them in the comments. I might be able to answer them. Other than that, have a great day.